every bit as big, if not bigger, when you break it down and what the Gamecocks can accomplish if they can win tomorrow night against Tennessee. First of all, they will have swept Tennessee in the regular season. Who would have seen that happening? Okay, not too many people. When they went to Tennessee back in January 30th, they handled the Vols pretty well. They won 63-59, and that was no accidental victory. You know, Tennessee didn't just roll over and give it to them. The Gamecocks played outstanding defense and kept Tennessee pretty much in check most of the night. I mean, 59 points for a team that averages over 80 points a game. What do you think? They did a great job defensively in that game. So right now they're in position to be in the top 4 in the SEC for the tournament, which would be unbelievable for them, which means they wouldn't play until Friday, which means, you know, you win on Friday, you're in the semifinals on Saturday. Okay, that's rare air for South Carolina. The Gamecocks are tied with Alabama at 12-4. Of course, Alabama has a tiebreaker. Tennessee's 13-3. Kentucky's 11-5, and Auburn's 11-5. Those are your top teams right now. If South Carolina beats Tennessee, obviously they'll have the tiebreaker over Tennessee. If they win, that makes them 13-4 with one game to go. So, again, winning tomorrow night doesn't clinch anything because they still have to play Mississippi State. And Alabama could win out and avoid a fifth loss and have the championship to themselves. But if South Carolina wins out, then the Gamecocks are going to share the SEC. If Alabama wins out, South Carolina wins out, they're going to share the SEC regular season championship. And if South Carolina wins out and Alabama loses a game, then the Gamecocks are going to stand alone as the SEC regular season champions. What were the odds on that in the preseason when the SEC media picked South Carolina dead last? When I was at that press conference in Birmingham when Lamont Paris stood up in front of the crowd of reporters and called us out. Now, I wasn't a voter. They have a blue ribbon panel who votes. So I was not on the blue ribbon panel. Those that did vote did not vote South Carolina highly in the preseason. They voted them last. And he said, how can you vote us last when we didn't finish last year and we're going to be better this year than we were last year? He was saying, he didn't project them being in position to win the championship. But by no means did he believe this team was going to be the worst team in the league. And certainly they have proven to be well beyond that, which takes us to our poll question of the week. Our new poll question of the week, which went up this afternoon once I got around to doing it. Poll question of the week. Lamont Paris is the lowest paid men's coach in the SEC at $2.3 million this season. What should he be paid per season when his contract is reworked? We know the contract's going to be reworked. What should he be paid? $5 million, $4 million, $3 million. Now, if they pay him $5 million, that's going to put him in the upper echelon at the very top. Believe it or not, that'll put him up near the very top of the SEC. I believe Calipari. I believe Calipari makes a neighborhood of a little over $8 million, and then I think Rick Barnes is below that.
I've got it in front of me if you want some help here, Corn.
Yeah,
Calipari leads the SEC at $8.5 million. Bruce Pearl is second at $5.449. Rick Barnes is just behind him, so he's just you got to wonder if that wasn't a slight negotiation there. Actually, I'm sorry, this article shows that backwards. Barnes is second. This shows Pearl second, but Barnes makes $848 more a year than Bruce Pearl. Then Buzz Williams is fourth at 4.1, tied with Eric Musselman of Arkansas. They both get 4.1 million. And that's it. Those are the five coaches who make $4 million or higher in the SEC. Nate Oates. Now, this article is from March of 2023. That's the most recent I could find. So there may have been some changes to that. I have a hard time believing Nate Oates has not been given a raise, but if he has not yet, I would imagine the Alabama coach will soon be up into that upper echelon along with Pearl, Barnes, and Calipari. But to your point, as of right now, Lamont Paris is well below everybody else at $2.2 million, behind even Chris Johns at Mississippi State and Dennis Gates at Missouri and a few others.
Yeah, well, he's actually now what you're reading is from his first-year contract. His second-year contract pays him 2.3, so he got a $100,000 raise. So you can tell there's an upper echelon, which is Calipari, and then there's that next level of the $5 million, $4 million range, and then so forth on down the ladder. So where would you put Lamont Paris based on this season and what he's done in his 2 years at South Carolina? 46.9%. Of course, it's always fun to spend somebody else's money. 46.7%. $5 million per year. 15.9% was settled for $3 million a year. So, got to believe that conversations are taking place between agents and representatives of South Carolina. At least they should be, considering the Ohio State job is open right now, and it's have already tied in Paris's name to that job for two reasons. Number one, he's done a heck of a job in South Carolina, a heck of a job at UT Chattanooga, and before that, he had that great run on the staff at Wisconsin. So great pedigree. And then secondly, he's from the state of Ohio. So it's only natural that his name would be a lot of your Ray Tanner. You want to take action, be proactive and not reactive. Don't wait for John Rothstein or who else, Dick Vitale or Jeff Borzello, the basketball pundit, somebody to report. According to sources, which i.e. means agents, according to sources, Ohio State is targeting South Carolina's Lamont Paris. You don't want it to get to targeting. And I'm not talking football. You don't want it to get to that point where it's targeting, where, there's been enough interaction and maybe a nodding of the head that Ohio State would be excited about the opportunity, I mean, he would be, if Ohio State were to hire him, I'm not connected to Ohio State, not in the state of Ohio, but I think that would go across as a big win for them for that position because of his Big Ten background. Because not reactive and make sure they take care of their business before Ohio State beats them to the punch. All right, phone number 888-898-2525. That is a South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And Pat, if we steer us in that direction and let me know if we want to hit the phones yet or not. Otherwise, I'll continue with more information. So you fill me in on what you want to do.
Yep, gotcha.
Baseball.
Sorry, jump in. I was trying to fix the StreamYard for our listeners out there. And Josh, producer extraordinaire, if you can hear me, we're having a little bit of an issue on our StreamYard. If you can help me address that audio. But to the calls, we've got a full bank of callers. I don't even need to pick up the phone. I know exactly who they all are. We got a lot of the usual suspects, who we all, of course, appreciate. First of all, we'll be visiting Swansea to see what old Gamecock Larry has to say.
Well, we love our family of Sports Talk listeners.
That's right.
Dawn Staley likes to call her followers fam. We got our fam as well. Here's our Grandpa Gamecock Larry. How are you, Gamecock Larry? I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're feeling better than me.
Well, I hope, Mr. Fielder, hope you feel get better quick. I know you just waiting for that dinner. Well, I got my coupons for Hardee's, McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, Chick-fil-A. You guys pick out them. You got to pick out
I
the
like
spot.
I like any of the above. Any of the above.
Okay.
What do
But,
you think? What do you think happened? What do you think happened, Larry? What do you think happened?
but I'm going to tell you what happened. We just wanted you all to get a little bit of pep in your step. We give you a little bit because I ain't worried too much about baseball right now. I don't care if well, no, I don't. I don't like losing to Clemson in anything, but that's all right. We'll let you have this one. But I'm excited about this basketball team, and I can hear old Mr. Field. He's hoping that Ray Tanner won't pay the money to stay. He's wanting him to go to Ohio because he want to get rid of Lamont. He don't want him to be here next year. But let me tell you something. We gonna pay Lamont the amount to keep him. And we're gonna have to, and I'll put another bet to you. I'll guarantee you, within the next 2 years, we'll have the NCAA National Championship in men basketball and ladies basketball all in 1 year.
Whoa.
Well, yes, sir. But let me tell you something. They don't give us no respect. They said the Gamecocks, after beating Florida and the other team, Texas A&M, moved up one spot. They don't give the Gamecocks no respect. And they put Angel Reese Player of the Year over Cardoso, over all these. Man, we don't get no respect, but we gonna make them. We gonna show them. We gonna get the respect of Mr. Field.
But wouldn't you rather have the two wins over LSU? Wouldn't you rather have those 2 wins? In fact, I don't think Cardoso played in one of those wins. I think she was with her Brazilian team. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather have the 2 wins and not worry about who got Player of the Year? I mean, Angel Reese is a great player.
But you know what? Angel Reese is a good player. Yeah, she's a good player, but she ain't better than Cardoso. I mean, she is not. She's just a classy. I don't know. Well, I started to call her what up, but I ain't gonna call her that. No, don't want to call no lady. But she's a what do you call her?
She's a very fine player, and you know what? LSU and South Carolina are probably going to meet in the SEC championship game on Sunday, and you're going to get to see another battle between the two. And
okay, she's a show-off. That's what she is. She's a show-off. She's a show-off. And you tell her the Gamecock, Larry, she's a show-off. You know what I mean.
When I see her, I will tell her, Gamecock Larry says you're a show-off.
Okay, Mr. Phil, I enjoy talking to you.
You too, Gamecock Larry.
I appreciate you
guys. The grandfather of Sports Talk.
I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to just run in my mouth.
Yes.
I tell you, 100.7 has been good to me. And I really appreciate it.
Well, you've been good. You've been good to 100.7. In fact, they might change the name. You know, some radio stations like to use a name like Frank FM, or why don't we call the point Larry Radio or Larry's Point?
Boy.
How about that? How about Larry's Point?
Well, no, you got to put Gamecock in there, Mr. Phil.
Gamecock Larry's Point. All right, thank you, Gamecock Larry.
I love all y'all.
Yep, thank you, Pat. Let's go next. Where?
So next we are going to go to Gamecock Larry's. I don't know if adversary is the right way, but we can go the opposite. We are going to visit with Gamecock Larry. Now we're traveling over to Lancaster with Tiger Bryan.
Tiger Bryan won a championship. Andrew Jackson. How about that, Tiger Bryan? Championship City.
That's right. The girls put it on them with it. I'm not an adversary to nobody. Hey, I'm glad Gamecock Larry's doing good and all. You know, I've had them sinuses problem like you horns.
Oh,
I mean,
ugh.
yeah.
You know,
It's all
they shoot horses that feel the way I do, Tiger Bryant.
I ain't
If I was a horse,
I ain't lying.
if I was a horse on the set of Yellowstone, they'd put me down. They would put me down.
Yeah, I hear you.
If Kevin Costner was the one to do it, that'd be okay. You know, rubbing my nose. He'd be rubbing my nose.
You wouldn't even see it coming.
And Miss Tiger Bryant, she bought no teeth. Clean that, my nose so up. I went and got some puffs today. Got the lotion on. Yeah.
Oh, that's all I ever use. Yeah, but you got to have the lotion. If not, you look like Santa Claus or Rudolph the Red-Nosed.
Yeah.
Well, Tiger Bryant, what'd you think of your Tiger baseball team over the weekend?
I'll tell you what, Saturday's game, I watched it. That was the best game when I seen get South Carolina Clemson in a long time. 12
That was a great game. Great game.
It was. I'm glad we won, but either one of them earned that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Both games were terrific, but I mean the Saturday game was special. It was special with the comeback and the extra innings and then the dramatic home run. I was just looking at South Carolina's numbers today, and I'm looking forward to talking with Coach Toman about this. I was a little bit surprised. Their offense is struggling more than I gave them credit for. Their team batting average is in the 260s. That was not expected by this team. They got to pick it up on the offensive side.
You gonna let me talk some more?
Well, you got 15 seconds.
All right. Hey. West Coast, a freshman receiver. Remember that name? Clemson is here on football. He's going to be the bomb.
They think he's a good one. Thank you, Tiger Bryant. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds all day long, leaving to some showers tonight. They could be heavy at times. The low 58. Tomorrow, a definite rain event early in the day. Heavy showers and thunderstorms possible. We eventually stop the rain, get a high of 70. Thursday's much better, 74 degrees and mostly sunny skies. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Super Tuesday primaries are the largest voting day of the year in the United States aside from the November general election. Voters in 16 states and one territory are choosing presidential nominees. Some states are also deciding who should run for governor, senator, or district attorneys. President Biden has been declared the winner of the Iowa caucuses this evening. On the Republican side, Donald Trump is predicted to win a wide swath of delegates from his only remaining challenger, Nikki Haley. Arizona Independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema has announced she will not run for re-election because of the situation in Washington. She says she loves Arizona and is proud of what she's delivered, but chooses civility, understanding, listening, working together to get stuff done. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 404 points. The Nasdaq dropped 267. This is SRN News.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were three of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
Remodeling. Just the thought of it can be a little scary. I'm Eddie Springer of Trey-Cal Builders, and we understand. Many of our clients come to us after a bad experience, from no-show contractors to shoddy work. We've seen it all. Trey-Cal is different. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. With Trey-Cal, remodeling's easy. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit trecalbuilders.com. Quality from start to finish.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American-made for life.
When you've got the gem of the Midlands, Lake Murray, at your disposal, who can blame you for wanting to hit that water now? Marine 360 has been your local home for the nicest crest and sea hunt boats since 2007. Brandon, Scott, and their team, well, they offer expertise, incredible customer service, and a tremendous selection of new and pre-owned boats. Crest is the industry standard. They've been building boats since 1956, the oldest and one of the most respected pontoon builders anywhere. Sea Hunt is built right here in Columbia, the #1 selling center console in its class for 19 straight years. Look, Marine 360 is on the lake. It's a great place when you need your boat service. They're authorized service experts for Yamaha, Mercury, and Suzuki. I know Brandon and Scott. These are good guys. They're local, and they'll be there from start to finish. They can get you into the best boat that fits your dreams and your budget. Take a look online, marine360sc.com, or better yet, give them a call, 749-2360. Go visit the showroom, see their awesome selection, hit the water for a demonstration. If you belong on the water, you belong in a Marine 360 boat.
We continue with Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network on a Tuesday night. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel, and you across the state. Phone number 888-898-2525. Love to hear from you tonight. We take your phone calls. And like I said, the more you talk, the more Pat talks, the less I have to talk, which would be a good thing tonight as I battle through a head cold kind of deal. So, update things over at Founders Park, South Carolina, and the Citadel underway, and they are scoreless in the bottom of the first. Citadel had a hit in the top of the first, and let's see, have they gone to the bottom of the first? Yes, they've gone to the bottom of the first, and it is scoreless. Citadel did have a 2-out single in the top of the first, and now the Gamecocks have come to the plate. And pitching for the Gamecocks in this one is the freshman Copper. Okay, and we'll update other baseball games for you as we go through the nights. And also going to keep an eye on all the college basketball going on. In fact, going to do that right now. I want to update what's happening because we got some tournament action, including Coastal Carolina playing in the Sun Belt. That is where Chris Bergen is situated in Pensacola, Florida. And it's been a good start for Coastal Carolina as they lead UL Monroe 34-23 with 4:14 to go in the first half. Coastal's up 34-23. Coming up tonight, you got Notre Dame at North Carolina. You got Alabama at Florida. So here again, now Florida could help the Gamecocks if they could get the W. Virginia Tech at Louisville. Of course, Syracuse at Clemson. Ole Miss at Georgia. Auburn at Missouri. Georgia Tech at Wake Forest, and Florida State at Pittsburgh. Okay, let's get back to your phone calls. 888-898-2525. We'll hear from Lamont Paris. He met with the media today to talk about tomorrow night's game and about his team. We'll have that for you coming up in a little bit. In the meantime, let's go to Andy in Columbia. Andy, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good evening. I have to say, Corn, last night you sounded the best you've ever sounded.
Well, I thought all those years of voice lessons would pay off eventually, and they came through last night.
And they sure did.
Now, seriously, was that not
carried it like a...
Was that not the worst you've ever heard last night? Seriously.
I'll be honest with you. It was some of the worst sounding radio I've listened to for 2 hours that I put myself through.
Well, you're
but
a soldier,
I figured
man.
I would listen. I figured I would listen because you were man enough to man up and be in there for almost 2 hours. The best part was Kevin, though.
Can you shoot
Yeah, I'm
the
getting
dog
ready
for
to
me?
get rid of her right now.
Yeah.
Not rid of her, but you know what I'm saying.
No, listen, I love dogs. I say that in a loving fashion.
She's got a thing about me being on the phone and like to bark at the same time.
Well, she wants to be on Sports Talk.
I thought that she kind of hated me holding our phone, so I decided to get some AirPods. She don't care if I'm wearing AirPods or talking on the phone. The dummy still barks. So, who knows?
She's no dummy. She's smart.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
A couple of things. First off, when is the signing period for the next basketball signing period? Is that April?
Yes, that comes up the middle of April.
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah.
And does Lamont have anybody sitting on there that he's looking at? I know that Don's got that girl out of Charlotte she's trying to pull in, the number 1 overall.
Yeah. He's been working in the 2025 class with some recent visits in the 2024 class, just to refresh our memories on what has gone on so far with them, because, let's face it, it's been kind of put to the back burner for a little while. They signed Oku Federico, 6'9", and Trent Noah, 6'5", out of Baxter, Kentucky. So as far as anybody else South Carolina might be going after, give me just a second, and I'll give you some names that they might still be involved with.
Hitting the portal hard again coming up.
Well, I would think so.
He's a very good portal recruiter. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
give him the opportunity.
I would think so. I got to update myself on a lot of basketball stuff because it's gone to the back burner through football season, and as we get into the tournament action. I know there was involvement with Darion Reed out of Grovetown, Georgia, 6'7", at one point. That was one they were heavily involved with. And there is, let's see here. I'm trying to see if anybody else here that is still available that they had been recruiting. So he would be one that I can cite for you as a possibility at this point.
Okay, regarding salary for Lamont, should we be looking at SEC salaries or should we be looking at Big Ten salaries? Because I think the biggest thing that we have to worry about is, like you said, Ohio State, because I think Ohio State, we're going to make a run in the tournament. If we make a deep run in the tournament, Ohio State's going to be on him pretty hard, I would think. And,
that's a good point. What they always say is market value. So they're in the SEC, not the Big Ten. Would they look at SEC market value or potential Big Ten market value? That's an excellent point. I don't know.
I've got the numbers in front of me to help a little bit. Looking at, you got me curious there, Andy.
Yep.
Tom Izzo is the highest paid head coach in the Big Ten at $6.2 million. Brad Underwood at Illinois, second at $4.6. And those are the only two coaches making north of $4 million. And this is an article from August of 2023. So that stands to reason that would be for this year. So, again, that's only two coaches north of $4 million. The SEC, I believe, had 4. Let's see. For Ohio State, Chris Holtman was getting roughly $3.5. His base salary was $1 million, but he was getting roughly $3.5 million. And he ranked computer's freezing. He ranked 6th in the conference for this past year. So I'm sorry, 5th. So 5th in the conference.
So I'd say if we started Lamont out at $4 million and built some escalations in there along the way and give us a good chance of keeping him if he doesn't want to go home.
Yeah.
Talking about Underwood, he was an assistant here. What?
Yep.
6 years
He was
ago.
He was
or
on
so?
Frank's first staff. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's done he went to Stephen F. Austin, correct?
Correct.
He did really well down there and then moved out to Illinois. And doing pretty good. Corn, did you watch our Mets and Yankees today?
You know, when I
You didn't
when I
see that
was
game on ESPN?
when I was awake, as little as I tried to be awake, I was all about trying to get ready for the show. Otherwise, I was trying to sleep because I was told to sleep a lot. So I'm trying to sleep. In fact, I might be asleep right now, and my mouth's just moving. I don't really know what I'm saying.
Thanks your Yankees, so
That's okay. That's all right. I'm happy for you. Enjoy. It's like the Lakers winning the NIT of the NBA. Enjoy that while you can. That's great.
Yeah, like I said, it should only happen during the real time.
Yep.
So, but it was a good coverage. They had Cashman on there for a good while talking to him about the game, about the team, and for you Yankee people. And
you have no thoughts on the weekend baseball series?
Well, you know what my thoughts are.
Yeah, but I mean, what did you see?
I think my money's almost in the bank about what you and I are betting.
Yeah,
I've watched every South Carolina baseball game, and I'm sitting here watching the Citadel game right now. And the problem with this team is the same thing that happened these past two games. You get runners on base. They seem to have a very hard time bringing those runners in. They seem to have a hard time making the clutch hits. And I'll tell you what, you come into SEC play, and that happens, they're going to be in big trouble. Not to mention, Clemson left a lot of people on base. And when you're playing against upper caliber teams like in the SEC, and I'm not saying Clemson's not an upper caliber team, you can't put that many people on base. And that's going to become a problem for this team, is having too many runners, opposite runners on base, and not being able to bring in your own runners that are on base.
Yeah, it's been a problem all season. They've got five starters in today's lineup. They've got five who are hitting 222 or below. So that's not real good. That much of your lineup struggling.
So I kind of feel good about the bet that you and I have going, unless Monty can do something special here and get these guys hitting and improving on what they're doing.
Got a long way to go. Long way to go.
We had every chance to win those two games this weekend, but like I said, when you left, we left over 10 people on base in both
left 15.
games.
You left, I think, a total of 15, 11 and 4. I think it was 11 in game 1 and 4 in game 2. But you didn't have that many opportunities in game 2. You only had 5 hits.
Yeah, and we can't beat a team like Clemson with only 5 hits, and you can't beat a team like Clemson with leaving 11 people on base.
But Clemson only had 5 hits. Clemson had 5 hits. The difference is 3 of them were home runs, and a 4th hit was an RBI hit. So their hits counted for something.
Well, do you think they made the big mistake by keeping Kimberlin after that? He gave up that. Well, it was almost a home run.
Yeah.
And then the next guy up took it out.
Yeah.
You think they should have pulled him before then, or do you think that it was just?
We'll ask Coach Toman about that. That's a good question for a baseball expert to answer. Looking back over the series, did they stay too long with Gainey on Saturday, because he gave up a long fly ball, and then the next hitter hit the game winner? Should they have pinch hit for Nolan when he came late in the game with the runner in scoring position and a chance to? I think they had a chance to tie it back then, or this might have been in extras, and they stuck with him. And he's the one that's been struggling. But it's early in the year, and you're the head coach. You don't want your guys to feel like you're losing confidence in them. We'll talk with Coach Toman about all that when he joins us here in a little bit.
One last thing about the series, if I can say it. Watching the games on the ACC network, the game in Clemson was fine. But when you have the game in Columbia that's done by the Clemson network, they can at least have television guys there and not feed their radio feed into it instead. I thought that was pretty poor. I mean, I was kind of disappointed in that. Even though we were able to watch everything during, between innings, they kept the feed
I don't know
going.
how that decision is made or how that, what
But
production
if I
decisions
remember,
are made.
they did that last year also.
Yeah.
If I remember that correctly. So, I just,
All right.
I don't know if a lot of people here in town realize you could have been able to watch that game through the ESPN stream through the ACC conference.
Well, I heard there were a lot of production errors in that particular broadcast.
Oh,
So
it looked, and their camera work was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But that's the ACC network for
Their
you.
performance with that made our show last night look like it was an Oscar award-winning performance. That's how bad it was.
I'm telling you, Corn, as sick as you were, you did a great job pulling through there. And you know what was nice too?
A
Was
lesser
listening to
man.
you and Kevin again. Listening to you and Kevin again, share the mics there for a little while.
That was
brought
fun.
back old memories, and it was pretty nice.
What did I
I've
miss
taken up
last
enough of y'all's time. Thank you for the time. Y'all have a good
All right.
evening.
Thank you.
Andy.
Feel better there, Corn.
Thank you, buddy. Pat, are you not aware of what went down last night?
No. What did I miss?
Oh, Lord. All right. So, I'm sick as a dog last night. Like, probably worse than I am tonight. So I'm going to do the show from home. Okay. 10 minutes before 6, I get a text from Josh. Internet's down.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, no. Not only does that affect me being able to connect, it affected the network.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was down for the night. It wasn't coming back. So I jumped in the car, and Kevin finished his show, and then he started Sports Talk. And he rambled on for about 20 minutes. Took me that long to get down there. Of course, I abide by all posted speed limits. And plus I was on heavy medication.
Sure.
I didn't need to get pulled over. Slammer. Anyway, and so I got there, I don't know, 6:20 or so. And then I just did not, after he finished up, I just did 90 minutes of nothing. 90 minutes of pure nothing. We did run a little baseball post game, but I hadn't prepared. I was totally out of it, and it was a mess.
You're a pro, Corn. I'm sure it was terrific. You're an absolute pro.
A
Working
lesser
through it.
man would not have survived.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the break, and we'll come back with more phone calls, I hope. The phone number is 888-898-2525. I dream for a day at the beach. And when I dream for a day at the beach, I dream of Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Paulie's Island is the place. Jimmy Smith is the man. Let them work for you. 843-237-4246 is the number. Online at Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Give Jimmy a call. He'd love to hear from you. Back in a moment.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. In fact, the lottery has raised more than $200 million for state school buses to get our students to school safely every day. Then, the lottery helps those students go even further in their education by funding the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. So remember, when you play the lottery, you're keeping South Carolina students on the road to success. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk, 38-29 at the half. Coastal Carolina is leading ULM in the play-in game, one of the play-in games of the Sun Belt Tournament in Pensacola. South Carolina's taking a 1-0 lead on the Citadel. In the bottom of the first, the Gamecocks have runners on first and second. They have one out. They got that run home on a Petrie single to left field. The Gamecocks are up 1-0 on the Bulldogs. A couple of other things. Big story of the day nationally is that the Dartmouth basketball team did vote today by a 13-2 count to join a union. Excuse me, to join a union. So we'll see where all this leads now that they've taken that action. The school plans to fight it. The school says that, in their opinion, classifying these students as employees simply because they play basketball is as unprecedented as it is inaccurate. We therefore do not believe unionization is appropriate. So they voted to join the Service Employees International Union Local 560 as representing them in a union, and all team members voted. So, I mean, I just think eventually the Supreme Court's going to have to make a ruling. Are college athletes students and students only and to be treated as such, or are they employees of the school? And should they be treated as such when it comes to the fact that they are getting paid? So, I mean, this thing's going to go round and round for a while. I'm sure it's going to probably reach the Supreme Court because there'll be lawsuits and actions, et cetera, that will push it up that way. But that happened today. Let's see what else we got. We got a couple other things I want to mention here. Oh, heck, fire. Well, I'll find it. I was looking for the All-SEC women. By the way, how about Pow Pow announcing last night? We did have this last night. The one piece of information we had last night that was decent was that we happened to be on the air when Pow Pow announced she was coming back to South Carolina for another year. So that's certainly a boost for the Gamecocks. All right, let's go to
Phil, real quick. I do have that in front of me. If you want, did you want to go through that?
Go ahead.
Okay. So let's see. In terms of Gamecocks on the first team All-SEC, Camila Cardozo was the only Gamecock. That's actually a bit surprising. There were two players from LSU had two players, Anissa Morrow and Angel Reese, and Ole Miss. I'm sorry, I think I said Ole Miss. LSU had two. Ole Miss also had two, Marquisha Davis and Madison Scott. South Carolina just won, though. But then second team, the Gamecocks had three, Raven Johnson, Tahina Pow, and Ashlyn Watkins. Shout out to Ashlyn Watkins, too. So that's coming off the bench for a vast majority of the season. And that just shows the immense talent that she has. Yet another Columbia native out of Cardinal Newman, the immense talent she has to be coming off the bench so much of the season and still be second team All-SEC. Can't wait to see what she can do as the full-time starter. And then the all-freshman team, the Gamecocks had another Columbia talent. I've been singing her praises since the day she signed, Malaysia Fulwiley. She is just unbelievable to watch on the court. She was on the all-freshman team. And then the all-defensive team, Camila Cardozo was also on that from the Gamecocks. Coach of the Year, Dawn Staley of South Carolina. No surprise there. Defensive Player of the Year, once again, Camila Cardozo. South Carolina was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Excellent. And in the ACC, Amari Robinson of Clemson was named to the first team all-conference in the ACC. All right, let's go to Hank in Columbia for our next phone call. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn. How are you?
Hanging in there, brother. Hanging in there.
Yeah, you sound a little bit better than last night. Last night you sounded rough, but I said, you know what? It can't be anybody more committed to sports than him to be out there trying to struggle through that the way you sounded.
Well, we could have just let 90 minutes of dead air, or Kevin could have thrown another program up there, but I said, you know what? Ain't going to let that happen. Let's get rolling.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Kevin's little part before you came in.
Yeah.
Corn, I just got a couple of things as I listened to you last night. Corn, so South Carolina's women are 29-0, right?
Yes.
And so if you take 4 out of 29 games, that's what, 13%?
Okay.
Pretty much. All right. So that means for 87% of your games, you have one habit. So, I had to get on you a little bit about running in there with your little shooting percentage when South Carolina's had
I knew that was
basically
coming.
4 games. They've had 4 games, of which 2 of them have been against Tennessee. And just to give you a little background on that is, as you've seen if you were there, I'm not sure if you were there because you might have been at a baseball game, but Tennessee, it's always a very physical game with them, which it lends to the shooting for them being poor, and whoever they play, because Tennessee's they're probably second to Carolina for the biggest team in the country, and they were just, with a lot of adamant about, it's just when we play Tennessee, it's always like that. So it's not, that was no surprise. They feel like we took over their little crown from the conference. And so no matter who they play poorly, when they see Carolina, we get their best. And with that, so that it never surprised me any shooting percentage, but the other 2 games, there was one I think you were at, and there was one maybe before that in Ole Miss. Other than that, the team shoots well over 40% in all the other 20 games from 3 and shoots above 50%.
Yep.
And so, I don't think you're going to be able to count on that. So we talk about look at a team across the country.
Well, we got to run to the break. Your points are well made. I just think about when they do run up against a team that can D them up, are they going to be able to make the shots? Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. It's Super Tuesday in the 2024 presidential contest, and already there's one result in. President Biden has won the Iowa caucuses. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas says it's time for Nikki Haley to drop out of the race.
Obviously, this race has been trending in this direction since President Trump won landslide victories in Iowa and then in New Hampshire. I regret a little bit that we haven't been able to already unify and consolidate the party, that President Trump and the RNC haven't been able to start working together hand in glove the way Joe Biden and the DNC has done for 3 years.
Senator Cotton was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Prosecutors have brought a dozen new charges against embattled New Jersey Democrat Senator Bob Menendez. Bob Agnew reports.
The new superseding indictment now includes a total of 16 charges, and those include charges of obstruction of justice and bribery. The new indictment comes after one of the senator's co-defendants took a plea deal and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. The senator is accused of accepting luxurious bribes and of acting as an agent of the Egyptian government. Bob Agnew reporting.
Firefighters are still trying to extinguish wildfires that have been burning across the Panhandle, which includes the largest wildfire in Texas history. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tells KVII-TV, as the state recovers from the wildfires, this is another example of Texans helping each other.
You see neighbor helping neighbor, county helping county. This entire region pulls together, and they are pulling together more strongly, more united than maybe anybody has ever seen. And it makes you proud to be a Texan.
Firefighters are still trying to extinguish wildfires that have been burning across rural areas around Amarillo. On Wall Street, a rough day as the Dow was down by 404 points. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
She's gone from reporting on the sidelines to making sense of the headlines. It's the Michelle Tafoya podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
There are people, Democrat operatives, that are saying, things are not looking good. Maybe Mr. Biden needs to bow out. Maybe the president needs to take a look at what's best for the party and say, you know what? I'm not going to run again.
Subscribe to the Michelle Tafoya podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Bible.
Plenty of reaction to a UN report on sexual violence in the Israeli-Hamas conflict. More from the Media Line's Felice Friedson.
Israelis are in disbelief over the minimalist tone taken by the Special Envoy for Sexual Violence in Conflict, Pramila Patten, in her report on sexual violence used against October 7th victims and hostages still in captivity. The report referenced evidence of multiple incidents whereby victims were subjected to rape and gang rape. After viewing 50 hours of footage of the attack and 5,000 photos, Patton could only say there are reasonable grounds to say there were rapes and other violent crimes without explicitly blaming Hamas. 5 months later, because Israel expects no action by Secretary General Guterres, it is directly approaching 8 Security Council members to convene a session. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds all day long, leaving to some showers tonight. They could be heavy at times. The low 58. Tomorrow, a definite rain event early in the day. Heavy showers and thunderstorms possible. We eventually stop the rain, get a high of 70. Thursday's much better, 74 degrees and mostly sunny skies. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back with you, Sports Talk, here on the Sports Talk Media Network on this Tuesday night. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in across the state. South Carolina, Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel with you. Let me update. South Carolina's taking a 2-0 lead on the Citadel, top of the second. Jones with an RBI single for the Gamecocks to put them up 2-0. And Coastal Carolina early in the second half with a 38-36 lead on Monroe, UL Monroe, as they play in the Sunbelt Tournament. Okay, because of our issues last night, we weren't able to have Coach Jim Toman with us last night, but by golly, we got him tonight, just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner in this.
All right, we welcome in Coach Jim Toman. Coach Jim Toman to Sports Talk on this Tuesday night. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Phil. Ready to talk a little college baseball.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to you for your Toman tidbits. I'm sure you're going to have a lot from the 2-game set between South Carolina and Clemson, so have at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, quick update. I'm actually at a batting cage giving some lessons and watching the Coastal game on TV. It's 14-8. Coastal is beating South Carolina upstate, and it's in the 7th inning.
Okay.
So obviously, two really good offensive clubs. That one might end up 20-18, but they've already put up 22 runs in 7 innings. But great week of baseball. Anytime you have the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry, I kind of, I was part of it for 11 years, so I understand the rivalry, and I was fired up for every damn game that we played between Clemson and South Carolina, and a lot of good games between them two clubs. Two top 10-ish, top 15-ish teams going at it. Congratulations to the Tigers. Swept the series so far. One game Friday will be determined at a later date. They'll probably hopefully play that game, and hopefully it'll mean something for RPI or hosting regionals. But Clemson's up 2-0 and played 2 great games. Both games 5-4, as you know. And I thought the biggest thing in the first game was obviously the walk-off home run. So it was an easy MVP for me. Andrew Chufo, who was a transfer from Georgetown, made several really nice plays at shortstop to keep the Tigers in the game, and then hit the walk-off home run, and that got everything going for Clemson, and they were able to win the second game as well at the they ended up winning both games 5-4, and so 2 great games, and Clemson just got the better of the Gamecocks in both of them. Okay, Clemson was 3-0 for the week, and they're 9-1 now. So they've got it going good. I hadn't seen the rankings today, but they're probably up there in 7 or 8 or something like that, because great week for them. 3-0 for the week, and it was amazing to watch too, because Chufo just didn't have the walk-off home run. He played great defense too, so you got to give him a lot of credit. Coming straight in from Georgetown as a grad student, and that was his first experience in Clemson, South Carolina, and he'll remember that the rest of his life. That was awesome. South Carolina for the week. Seems so long ago because today is Tuesday, and they're already playing again tonight against the Citadel. But they were only 1-2 for the week to beat George. I think it was Gardner Webb early in the week, and then they lost twice to Clemson. Now they're 8-3. It was good to see Petrie hit 2 home runs, and it looks like that Jones kid might be the type of kid that earns that DH spot, because they need some guys to step up hitting. Early in the year, if there was anything that the Gamecock fans thought was going to click, was the hitters, and they're worried about the pitchers, but it's kind of been vice versa. The pitchers have done, I think, really well, and the hitters haven't quite hit like I think they can. So they need to get hot. A couple guys in that lineup need to pick it up for sure. I would put a note here that Coastal for the week was 4-0, and they beat Campbell, which is a ranked team. Then they swept Liberty, who Scott Jackson used to be my assistant. He's the head coach up there at Liberty now. They've got a good program up there, and Campbell swept them. And so they're 9-2, and they're leading again tonight. So they're looking at going to 10-2. A little tidbit for Coastal Carolina that Coach Schnall gave me, who's going to be the head coach next year when Gary Gilmore retires after this year. Schnall sent me the freshman pitchers prior to tonight. There's 8 runs on the board tonight, but they had 36 innings pitched, 23 hits, only 3 earned runs against the freshman pitchers at Coastal. 11 walks, 42 Ks. Lefties were only hitting $166. Righties were hitting 195. Hitters overall were hitting 184. They had a .75. I think that's what it is. .75. Might be .075. Whatever. It's a low ERA against the freshman pitchers for Coastal. And like I said, they're winning again tonight, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. These midweek games in college baseball are crazy, as well as the Sunday games. The scores just keep getting higher and higher. I don't know what that means about pitchers, but the scores just keep getting higher and higher in college baseball. Presbyterian went 2-2 for the week. They only lost 4-3 to Georgia, so they almost had an upset against Georgia, and they're 7-5 now. USC Upstate was 2-2. They did beat Penn 2 out of 3, and they're losing right now to Coastal, but they can hit the ball, so it's going to be even more high score in that game. College of Charleston had a rough week last week, losing to Nebraska, but I believe they've already won tonight against Liberty. So they went to 7-3 on Sunday, losing their first 3 games of the year. Really close games against Nebraska. And today I think tonight was like 8-2. They beat Liberty, so they're 8-3 now. So the Chad Holbrook squad is doing well. Wofford 3-1 last week, 9-2. They lost 3-2, a close game to Charlotte, and then they swept Fordham. So Wofford's got another good team, good record. Charleston Southern is hanging in there. They were only 1-3 last week, but they lost a close one in the middle of the week, rivalry game to the Citadel. And they played okay against Rutgers, who's a pretty good squad, but they're 5-6 right now. Winthrop 5-7, won their last 3. The big deal there was Riley Huge. That is his name. 20 punch-outs in a win last week. 20. Pretty darn good.
That's incredible. How many pitches did he throw?
I don't know, but we're going to talk a little bit more I'm going to shout out to him, and I'm going to tell you what his line score was in a little bit. The Citadel is doing all right. This is one of the best Citadel starts in a while. They beat Charleston Southern 5-4 last week, but they're 9-2, and you know who the pitching coach is over there, right? Blake
Former Gamecock, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me get to some. I have like 4 or 5 really good shout-outs to kids that did great.
Okay.
And if you have time, I have 5 or 6 not-so-good shout-outs and things that I think need to change in college baseball. And you make the decision on. You're in charge of making decisions, Phil and Pat, on what we do about these things. But the good ones to start with. Oklahoma softball. I hate to throw in softball right now, but they won 71 games in a row, and they finally got beat last week. They had won the national championship last year, so between last year and this year, they had a 71-game hitting streak. So good for them. Jack Cooper, Columbia University. He was 9 for 12 last week, 4 home runs. There's some teams that don't have 4 home runs for the year. He hit 4 in one weekend. In their sweep of Marist, 4 home runs, 7 runs, 15 RBIs. So that's a great deal for a senior, Jack Cooper of Columbia. Probably a lot smarter than all of us too.
Hey, by the way, I've looked it up. Mr. Huge threw 124 pitches for his 20 strikeouts. 20 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 wild pitches. He faced 27 batters. He pitched 7 2/3, threw 124, 80 for strikes.
Yeah, well, I think he probably threw that many because the hit probably didn't come until the 8th inning. I don't know, but he went 7 2/3 and struck out 20. Yeah. 124 is a lot. Occasionally, you can do that if the kid hasn't. They had some innings in the game that were easy for him, and he wasn't max effort. He wasn't struggling a lot, and he was breezing along, and that's a little bit easier on the arm when it's like that. Or the game before, maybe he only threw 50 or 60. Or this next game, they probably got to limit him to 80 or 90, hopefully, or give him an extra day of rest. Might help Riley Huge. I won't tell you what his nickname was on Twitter this week. I did not put this out there. It was Riley Huge, and his nickname was, well, I better not say that. I'm not going to say that. It was on Twitter, so you have to go look for it yourself. But it was pretty funny, actually. I can't say that one. I'm a little outside the line, but that would be like a foot outside the line if I said his nickname. Okay, let's go on. Winthrop has Riley Hughes struck out 20 and only a 1 hit. Okay, Reese Fields, a name you might not know, but he was like the MVP of the World Series a couple years ago for Landon Powell. North Greenfield, no hitter. 15K complete game for North Greenville. North Greenville's number 2 in the Division II ranking. So that's awesome. That's their number 1 guy, Reese Fields. Okay, let's get quickly to the not-so-good shout-outs. Number 1, pitching, not so good, question mark. It might be the bats, might be the balls, might be the wind. I don't know what it is, but the top 25 scores in the country on Sunday, real quick. Listen to these runs scored. 14-11. These are the game scores for Sunday's top 25 teams in college baseball. 14-11, 10-5, 13-6, 12-5, 16-6, 8-4, 14-4, 10-5, 10-6, 11-9, 12-1, 5-4. That was Clemson beating the Gamecocks. 9-0, 8-2, 9-5, 16-9, 13-7, 9-5, 7-5. So that has to be something done about our pitchers. We got to start getting some outs, guys. Okay, number 2, not so good. Okay. There was a pitcher from South Carolina who was pitching really well, by the way, and I'm not going to name names, but he was mowing. He was doing really well, and he was skipping around the mound. I just didn't like what he was doing after a strikeout. I don't like all them antics that are happening in college baseball right now, and the South Carolina pitcher. And what happened for me is karma, or whatever we call it, baseball god. But he gave up a walk-off. But he was pitching great, but he kind of I don't know what he was doing. I don't know any pitchers. I've never seen a pitcher skip around the mound and around second base and after strikeout. So you got to tone that down. Great competitor, great arm. But for me, he got what he deserved. And that's a lot outside the lines. I get it. And I know he's a really good pitcher, but I think he has to tone that down. Here's another one. Vanderbilt hitter jumping back and forth to distract the pitcher in the box right before the pitcher was throwing it. He was jumping up and down, forward, backward, stepping out, just kind of like you might see in a little league game by about a 4-year-old, and that's very bush league as well. But I am positive, knowing Tim Corbin, who is one of the best coaches in the game, I'll guarantee you he had some choice words with his player that did that, because Tim, I can't imagine Tim has told him to do that. But the kid did it. And it's unusual, but he did it. Another shout-out that ain't so good.
All right, got to wrap it after this shout-out. Got to wrap it after this.
Okay. All right. How about this one? Tyler Shelnut from Florida ran to first and flipped his bat right before he got to first, and he got thrown out of the game.
Ooh.
And I think that happened in the Clemson, South Carolina game and didn't get thrown out. So there's just too much stuff going on like that still in the game, and we got to put an end to it at some point, because someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get a pitch in the ribs, or someone's going to, there's going to be some brawls going on. But you need to keep it to your own team and compete and play hard. And I thought the Clemson player that hit the walk-off had an interview, and he said it the best. He said, hey, the South Carolina pitcher was throwing well, and they asked him about his antics, and the kid said, hey, we're just worried about our own team, and we're worried about what our guys do. We don't worry about the other team. And turned out I hit a home run and won the game walk-off. So he's really a good answer for that kid from Clemson. And once again, I got to go. But just want to shout out to Clemson for sweeping the Gamecocks.
Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Look forward to having you with us next Monday night. We'll wrap up the weekend and get your new thoughts next Monday.
Okay, guys. Take it easy.
Thanks, Coach.
Great hearing from you. Thank you. All right, that's Coach Jim Toman. Just a bit outside. Great stuff, but he keeps his eyes on a lot of everything. As we go to the break, I will tell you that South Carolina leads the Citadel 3-0, bottom of the second. Duke is leading Appalachian 28-2. Notre Dame over Purdue 11-2. Wake Forest over Georgetown 11-9. And Coastal up on Upstate 14-8. So as Coach was talking about, a lot of runs. Charleston Southern leading Penn 6-2. Coastal basketball leading Monroe 47-46. 11:25 to play. Be right back.
Last year was a big year for Founders Federal Credit Union and our amazing members. A total of $30 million was given back to qualifying members in the form of loyalty bonus dividends, proving once again that it pays to be a Founders member. Founders is also committed to pouring time and resources into the local communities we serve. If you aren't a member,
Leading Syracuse 27-23, 7:32 to go in the half. Syracuse is shooting 50%, Clemson 48%. P.J. Hall, you think he's fired up? 7 of 8 from the floor. 2 of 3 from three. He's got 16 points, 16 of their 27. He's also got 3 rebounds. So he is lighting it up. Hunter's got 5. Nobody else has got more than 3. So Tigers, with that 27-23 advantage, they've made one of their last 7. Okay, let's do the recruiting report for you. It is brought to you by Seawells. Seawells, the place to go for all your catering needs. You got a special event coming up. You just give Seawells a call, tell them what you're looking for, and they will handle it from there. The Seawells family and staff can take care of all the planning, all your catering needs at their facility on Rosewood Drive in Columbia, or they're happy to come to your venue. Their phone number is 803-771-7385, and online it's SeawellsCateringSC.com. And, of course, don't forget, once again tomorrow, the daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2 for only $14.50. You can't beat it. Check it out. All right. So, really, just recapping what we had last night, since nobody heard us last night, so I can say it again. Offensive tackle David Sanders of Charlotte, highly regarded player, and he announced over the weekend that Clemson, South Carolina are among his top 6, with Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Tennessee. He visited both last spring. He was at games at both last spring. Lancaster offensive tackle Kevin P. was at Clemson yesterday. He's going to Pitt on March the 28th. He is going to go to Maryland on March the 30th, Purdue April 11th, and Boston College April 13th. Offensive tackle Josh Petty plans to visit Clemson March 12th. He'll also visit Georgia Tech on the 15th, Georgia on the 16th, Auburn on the 19th, and Florida State on the 29th. This according to Steve Wiltfong of 247 Sports. 2026 receiver Jordan Gidron of Ridgeview plans to be at Clemson on Saturday. The Tigers are having a junior day on Saturday. Defensive tackle Elijah Griffin has USC and Clemson in his top 12. The others on that list are Alabama, Florida, Colorado, LSU, Duke, Miami, Oregon, Southern Cal, Georgia, and Louisville. USC offered wide receiver Khalil Lockett of Dallas. USC also offered wide receiver Isaiah Mosey of Lee's Summit, Missouri, and wide receiver Cooper Perry of Scottsdale, Arizona. Wide receiver Dysere Carter of Woodbury Forest, Virginia. He plans to visit USC for their spring game, April 20th. Hammond tight end Mike Tyler was offered by Boston College. And in basketball, over the weekend, USC had on campus for an official visit 6'4" Isaiah Henry, Harrisburg, North Carolina. He's the brother of former Clemson defensive end K.J. Henry. Everything went great on the visit for him. And South Carolina is going to be one of his major factors with him. Clemson, he's taken an official visit there already. They're big players with him as well. Virginia Tech, Georgia, and Georgetown, others that he's primarily looking at this point. That's recruiting, and we'll be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds all day long, leaving to some showers tonight. They could be heavy at times. The low 58. Tomorrow, a definite rain event early in the day. Heavy showers and thunderstorms possible. We eventually stop the rain, get a high of 70. Thursday's much better, 74 degrees and mostly sunny skies. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
When you think about spring, good stuff springs to mind. You know, like spring break. Woohoo! A friend springing for drinks.
Thanks, dude.
A spring in your step. Spring fever.
Oh, behave.
And best of all, spring water dough pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Yeah, baby!
Experience the taste of spring with our amazing hand-tossed pies, spring fresh salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Enjoy spring at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
This is an SRN News special report, Super Tuesday. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Well, early results are beginning to come in as polls close in the eastern U.S. Donald Trump has won the Republican presidential primary in Virginia. President Biden started off the night by winning Virginia and Vermont, as well as Iowa. President Biden and Donald Trump are poised to move much, much closer to winning their party's nominations because Super Tuesday is the biggest day of the primary campaign. Hundreds of delegates for both political parties are at stake this evening. While much of the focus is on the presidential race, there are also important down-ballot contests. California voters will choose candidates who will compete to fill the Senate seat long held by Dianne Feinstein. The governor's race will take shape in North Carolina. That's a state both parties are fiercely fighting for ahead of November. Special report, Super Tuesday.
Every month you get a power bill, and every time you look at it, you realize you have very little control of that bill. If you want to take some control, it's time to reach out and talk to the folks at Broker Solar. Listen, solar power is not for everyone. It is a commitment, but the rewards are well worth it, not because of the politicians and the media and the green this and the green that. Nah, it's worth it because it'll save you money on the long term. It'll give you control of your power bill, and there are some great tax advantages available. But you know what? You need to do your homework. Don't get fooled by the guy putting lawn signs in the grass offering something too good to be true. I have known the owners of Broker Solar for more than 20 years. I trust Ken and his team, and I believe you should too. They are local. They are legitimate. I've been to multiple homes where they've installed solar power. The technology is phenomenal, and I am a believer. See for yourself. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or call Ken at 807-7417. That's 807-7417. It's Broker Solar.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey, honey, do you remember if Dad took his meds this morning?
You know, I'm not sure.
He isn't either. Keeping up with his meds is overwhelming.
You know, True Pharmacy packages medication. They showed me a sample, and it even separates them by date and time of day.
Something like that would be really helpful for Dad and for me.
Even better, it's free, just for being their customer. True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway and 3217 Devine Street, or TrueRxSC.com.
If you spend as much time in your outdoor living space as I do, you should make that time truly enjoyable with new patio furniture and a new grill from Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. We offer a huge selection of high-quality, unique, brand-name patio sets, pieces, and accessories. Our top-of-the-line grills include Big Green Egg, Weber, and Traeger. It's all in stock and online at affordable prices at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive and JackOliverPools.com.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
And we're back on Sports Talk, Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday night. South Carolina baseball leading the Citadel 3-0. They're in the bottom of the third. And in basketball, Clemson is leading Syracuse 34-28, 3:47 to go in the half. P.J. Hall now with 19 points, 8 of 11 from the floor. So he's having a very memorable senior night. And Coastal trying to hang on against UL Monroe. It's 54-52 with 6:24 to go in that one. Play-in game of the Sun Belt tournament. North Carolina leading Notre Dame 30-20. Florida is leading Alabama 21-19 late in the first half. Virginia Tech over at Louisville 34-19. Georgia on top of Ole Miss 22-20. Okay, let's talk some NASCAR here on Sports Talk. Welcome in Josh Harris, the president. Darlington Raceway, 3 races into the season now. 3 different winners, Josh. Kyle Larson gets it done at Las Vegas in what was another pretty exciting finish. He had to do everything he could to hold off Tyler Reddick to win that thing on Sunday. So I'd say the season's off to a great start when it comes to the competitiveness of the races.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Larson led a lot of that race, but there were specific moments, especially near the end of the stages and the end of that race, where Tyler Reddick was right on his heels, and he had to work really hard to hold on.
I think. Are you with us, Josh?
He's with us. I'll check with him real quick off air.
Okay. Yeah.
One second here, Phil.
I think we've got a bit of a cell issue. Sounded like he was on the moon, to be quite honest with you. Okay, we'll get that. We'll get that resolved. In the meantime, I will update a couple of other things, and then we'll get back to Josh here momentarily. Let's see here. We got golf going on, college golf. And let's see if we can find what's going on here with some of the locals. We got the Wake Forest Invitational. I believe Clemson is in this field. Clemson and the College of Charleston. They're in this field, and Auburn won it. They wrapped it up. Today. So they got 3 rounds in. Auburn wins it at plus 12. East Tennessee State plus 13. Clemson finished tied for 4th, plus 18. College of Charleston was next. Was tied for 7th at plus 27. We back with Josh? Still trying to reconnect with Josh.
One second, Phil. Just trying to get him somewhere safe where he can get. He's driving, so using the car audio, and it's just a little quiet.
Yep. Okay. That's all good. It's all good. The Darius Rutger Intercollegiate, very popular women's tournament put on by Darius Rutger, sponsored by him down at Bulls Bay. Long Cove at Hilton Head. I think it was at Bulls Bay at one time. Okay, we'll get to this in just a moment because Josh is back with us. Okay, Josh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better, much better. All right, so start over, as they say. Spin those tires and tell us again what you were saying.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. I was actually driving on my way back from Columbia. But, yeah, Kyle, he dominated that race from a lapped lead standpoint for sure. But there were a number of times where he got challenged, and you were talking about it there at the end of the race. Tyler Reddick really gave him all he could handle, and Larson was able to hold on. But certainly while he led a lot of laps and picked up the stage wins and everything, it was a really competitive race.
Well, 3 different winners to start the season. I think people got to like that, right? Everybody has hope that their guy's going to win a race as the season wears on. Like we had, was it last year or 2 years ago, we had 17, 18 different winners.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, the first year of the next-gen car, I think we had 16 or 17. Last year, I think we had 14. So it's off to another competitive start. Certainly the Chevrolets are coming up with all the victories right now. But I was looking through the top 10 of that race, and you had 3 Chevys, 4 Toyotas, and 3 Fords. So it's not like Chevy's just dominating the whole top 10, but they are picking up the most important position.
Do you think, from your experience with NASCAR in the office and all that, I mean, do they like a season where the wins are spread among a bunch of different drivers, or would they like to see a season where a Jimmy Johnson wins 8 or 9, or Dale Earnhardt wins a whole bunch of races, and that one fan base grows with each win and gets louder and louder? Which is better in your opinion, or does it matter?
I think each has its positives, but I think the competitiveness right now of the Cup Series, it is so hard to win, and that's one of the things Daniel Suarez mentioned after his victory was just how hard it is to win these races. And so when you get a year like 2021 when Kyle Larson won 9 or 10 races, that's a feat in and of itself. But I really like the competitiveness and not knowing who's going to win every week.
Well, it certainly is a relief for the teams who've already won because, they're in the playoffs now and they can focus on just going out week after week and trying to add to their total. But I got to believe in those particular shops, it's a different atmosphere than the others. Even though it's very early in the season, it's nice to have that win tucked in your back pocket and that ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. We get one of those seasons like a couple of years ago, that win you might need a little bit more. So, I did hear, Suarez's team talking about that Las Vegas race. They were probably doing some things that maybe if they didn't have that win already, they wouldn't have done, knowing that's going to be a playoff race when they go back later in the year. So it certainly affords those teams that picks up an early season win the opportunity to relax a little, maybe test some new things, and then try to keep going after those wins.
Yeah, do some experimenting and things like that they can use down the road.
Absolutely.
So to this point in the season, 3 races in, what are the readouts you're getting in terms of attendance and also TV returns? What kind of reports are you getting?
Well, the Daytona 500 had its earliest sellout of the modern era, sold out well before Christmas. So that was a good sign. Atlanta had a good crowd. It looked like Vegas had a good crowd. I'm expecting the same in Phoenix this weekend. So attendance at the racetrack is looking good. And the TV ratings, I just saw earlier today, were up about 9% over the previous year's Las Vegas, the first spring race. So all signs are pointing up, which is a great way to start the season. I'm sure some of that momentum from the Netflix series is helping, but good racing on the track is also what contributes to it.
What are your thoughts on Dale Jr. moving away from NBC?
Well, I was a little surprised. I'd heard some rumblings of that maybe happening. But I will say this, I'll give Warner Brothers, if the reports are true that he's going to go join the Amazon Warner Brothers, broadcast team for the 2025 season. I think that's a smart move by them to go out and get someone, that has instant credibility with our fan base. From the NBC side, they have a great group there already. I know it'll be, as a fan, we'll miss him in the booth on the NBC coverage this year. But I think it's good that he's going to stick around and be involved in 2025 and beyond. And then certainly he's got his whole network of podcasts and the Dirty Mo Media that's putting out content. So if you want to hear from Dale Jr., there's an easy way to find it if you want to.
Yep, he's out there. So do we know yet? I can't recall that if this has been made public. Do we know yet how many races that group is getting, and are they getting any playoff races?
So, the Warner Brothers Discovery and the Amazon streaming will split. Each will have 5 races in the middle of the season next year, so 10 total. Fox will take a few less on the front end, and NBC will take a few less on the back end. But it won't be a playoff race. NBC will still have all 10 playoff races. It'll be that kind of summer schedule.
Yeah, and so fans are going to have to be subscribers. They're going to have to pony up to watch these races.
Yeah, I know that's a big topic. Amazon, I feel like it's pretty wide distribution, and for us to grow as a sport, we need our traditional media outlets, Fox and NBC, but I'm encouraged to see us get on some other platforms where we may be able to continue to reach new audiences and grow the sport as a whole.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, people bellyached when it first came out that Amazon was going to have a Thursday night NFL game, right? Oh, you mean I got to pay to watch the NFL? Well, people have not minded doing that, right? I mean,
that's right.
Millions upon millions have done so, and I think it's going to be, to see what the NASCAR fan decides he or she wants to do, and if this is another way to watch the race, and they want to watch the race, then they'll subscribe and they'll have the complete season. So it all depends on what you want. I mean, I'm one of those people who said I'd never pay for these different streaming outlets, but I pay for all of them now. I get everything. I get MLB. I get Sunday Ticket. I get MLB. I don't get NBA because I see the Celtics enough. But I don't mind paying if I want to watch my team. So you guys had to postpone your laps for charity last weekend because of that bad weather.
Yeah, Mother Nature was not our friend on Friday. It rained all day, and one of those things where we have to make a decision on that early enough to get the word out. So to be safe, and, when we do these track lap events, we want people to come out and have a good time and not be worried. So we postponed it. It'll reschedule for Saturday, March 30th. That is Easter weekend, so we're going to add a little Easter egg hunt element to it. And so It'll be fun for all ages. Families, come on out. We'll be there on Saturday, March 30th from 11 to 2. Same details, supporting child and family resources. And at $25 gets you about 3 to 4 laps around the track too tough to tame.
Unless you're sneaky like me, you can get 5 or 6.
Well,
if you when they're not looking.
You can't tell all the secrets.
That's right. The secret is keep it low. Keep it in the low groove, and they're looking up high near the wall. That's where they're watching the speedsters. Go ahead, Pat. You got something?
Yeah, Josh Harris with us here on Sports Talk. And Josh, quick question about this is not how do I phrase this? So this was in the Truck Series race this past weekend out in Las Vegas. We had first-time winner Ray Caruth, who won that as a 21-year-old. He's still in college right now. He's a senior, and just like reigning Daytona 500 winner William Byron, Caruth taught himself to race on a computer. It was all kind of done through video games. We're seeing more and more very successful racers having gotten their start, and Kyle Larson too, when he took off and did so well with the electronics. We're seeing a lot of these young racers kind of get their start in video games and then able to take that onto the actual track and be competitive and win. In your experience so far with NASCAR, how is that fitting in with the more old school approach of doing it all actually out there on the road? And now we're seeing so much being taught electronically.
Well, I think there's been a great partnership over the last few years, especially with iRacing, which is, I think, where a lot of these guys have gotten their initial kind of entry into it. And you guys are probably well aware it's expensive to go auto racing. So not everybody comes from the same background or has the same, ways to get into it from an early age. And these guys have found a unique entry path. But then there comes a time where they do have to get behind the wheel of a real race car. And if you think about Rajah Caruth, he started there with iRacing, then he got into Legends cars and then the ARCA series. So eventually it comes down to kind of putting it out there on the pavement, so to speak. You got to be able to do it. But it is a great way for people to kind of get a start, maybe make a name for themselves, and somebody to take a chance on them. So I think it just opens up the playing field, so to speak, and giving people a chance that might not have had that same background in the past.
I love that. And Josh, just one more thing with that. So I grew up in the 90s playing, I guess it was Cruisin' USA on Nintendo 64. And now maybe I should have spent a little more time playing that and a little less time outside getting into sports. And maybe I could be a driver today. But to your point, it's just been fascinating to watch that. And then, like you said, you eventually do have to actually get onto the track. But it really is fascinating to see so many young, successful racers having gotten their start in iRacing.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to the quality of the game that they're putting out, that it's so realistic that some of those skills can translate. But I think it's a lot like other video game sports where you got people that are ultra successful in whatever that might be, have been able to kind of make a little bit of a career out of it, so to speak. It's been a way to get people introduced to our sport, and it's cool to see them pay it off on the big track with some actual wins.
Hey, Josh, as always, we appreciate the time. Have a great week. We go to Phoenix this weekend. Look forward to talking with you about it next week.
Yeah, first sort of short track of the season. They made some changes to that package in the offseason, so curious to see how it races, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh Harris, president of Darlington Raceway, doing a great job at the PD track, the pearl of the PD. Halftime up at Clemson, the Tigers are taking it to Syracuse, a 12-2 run to close the half, 42-30. P.J. Hall has half the points for Clemson on 9 of 12 shooting. He's got 21 points. He's having a big senior night. Tomorrow night in Columbia, it is senior night for South Carolina. And this afternoon, Gamecock coach Lamont Paris, he met with the media to preview that big game with Tennessee coming up tomorrow night.
Couple for you, Lamont. First,
yeah.
Is Miles going to be okay playing tomorrow?
He's going to try to give it a go, I think. I mean, it seemed like he was good. I just, about 11 seconds ago, got the word from Mark that he felt pretty good today. So he'll be available. See what that looks like.
And two, you said last press conference that sometimes you mentioned championship scenarios.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a little bit for sure. We talked about the position that we have found ourselves in, that we've clawed and scrapped and fought to be in, and they deserve to be in this position with 2 games to go. And so at some point there are too many games ahead of you to talk about what's ahead of you. And I think we're to the point where they can do that. So it's exciting for them. They're excited about it, and I'm looking forward to see how they respond to it tomorrow.
You talk so much, at Knoxville, kind of about breaking the game down, breaking the plan down for attacking these guys. Do you kind of try to go with that again this time around, or do you change it up at all?
We did look at a couple of things just because, Connect had 39 points the other day on a fairly efficient day. So we looked at a couple of things. At the same time, we held them 59 points, I think it was, in the first game on their home court. So, I don't want to bank on being able to do that again. So we prepared for some other things, but our bread and butter is what it is. It is to sit down in the stands, try really hard to execute our principles and communicate and cover up for one another and fight really hard and then rebound. That's our plan, and that'll be our bread and butter tomorrow. And then, if something else goes, we've done 1-3-1 before. We've double teamed in the post before. A couple things we may look at if we feel like we need to, just to change up the flow. But it'll be business as usual in our original game plan.
With Diva not playing, just remember playing twice last week. When did you kind of know he'd be ready, and what kind of impact can he have at this stage?
Yeah, he told me a couple games ago, and so you don't know. I mean, he's a reliable guy. I think he's pretty predictable in terms of our rules and knowing what he's going to do when he gets out there. Fairly predictable that way, and I say that as a compliment. Because he's paid attention to what the rules are. He's paid attention to what he's supposed to do in each scenario that presents itself. And so I think that reliability has some real merit, and that's why he's been able to get in a couple of games since he's been back.
How have you seen Michi grow as a player and as a leader this season?
I'll tell you, the biggest growth is when you have a couple struggles and you still find a way to contribute to your team in a major way that affects the outcome of the game. And he's been able to do that. And sometimes it's obvious to see when he throws 25 points up, 22 in the second, 21 in the second half, whatever that was. It's easy to see those contributions, but he's had plenty of other games. And, you guys are the ones that asked me, well, what's up with Michi when he only goes 1 for 11 in a game that we win? And someone else had a good game. And I get it. That's what someone's supposed to ask because they're surprised that he's not doing what he's done in other games. But we got other guys, and he's able to make an impact in a lot of different ways. And he's clearly an explosive guy, and he was in our last game. And we like him to be explosive. We're really good and better when he's explosive like that. But we don't need him to be explosive for us to be able to get done what we need to get done on any particular day.
How important was that win over Tennessee as far as giving the guys confidence that they could be a championship contender, but also help them to bounce back from some tough moments?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of playing them again, we showed some film on some of the things that we did that we had success with. We showed some other things that we can do better. I think there are a lot of reasons why our guys will be confident going into the game. One of which is probably that we've played well against them before, but since that day has happened, we've also achieved a lot of things. We've had some really tough other road games. We've come off of a 2-game loss to turn into 3-game wins after that. There have been a lot of things that have really built up a true sense of confidence for these guys, and it won't stem from just the fact that we beat Tennessee in one particular game. I think they'll look back on their whole total body of work, and that will inspire true confidence.
Okay, comments from USC coach Lamont Paris. Big game for the Gamecocks. Tomorrow night, home against Tennessee. Coastal, 68. Monroe, 65. 48 seconds to play. For one, the season continues. For the other, it's get on the bus. North Carolina at the half leads Notre Dame 41-25. Big for South Carolina. Florida leads Alabama 44-35 at halftime. How about that? Virginia Tech 49, Louisville 28 at the half. Told you about Clemson already. And Georgia leads Ole Miss 35-32 at the half. Still to come, Auburn, Missouri, and Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Florida State, Pittsburgh. Baseball, South Carolina 3-0 over the Citadel. Bottom of the fourth, Gamecocks have nobody out. 2 runners on. They have left 7 on already. They just got a run in. Messina singling through the left side. So it's 4-0 Gamecocks. Nobody out. Runners on first and second. Some other baseball. Duke 28, Appalachian State 2. Notre Dame 11, Purdue 2. Wake Forest 11. Georgetown 9. And these are all finals. Coastal 14. Upstate 8. Top of the ninth, Charleston Southern 6, Penn 4. Bottom of the eighth, Vanderbilt 6, Eastern Michigan 2. Top of the sixth, North Carolina 3, Campbell 2. Bottom 6, Tennessee 15, Kansas State 4. Middle third, Southern Miss 4, Mississippi State 2. And top of the second, Texas A&M 2 and Texas nothing.
Phil, quick note to add here,
Yes.
too. Sorry to jump in here, but
No,
Carolina.
jump in.
South Carolina men's basketball commit in class of 2025 shooting guard Eli Ellis, who was just recently named the overtime elite MVP there in that league. He just tweeted out a little while ago that he will be in attendance for the South Carolina-Tennessee game tomorrow night at 7. So Gamecocks fans want to get a little sight to see of him in the crowd.
They can show him the love.
That's right.
Show him the love. That baseball game tomorrow at Clemson with Kansas State, the game time's been changed to 6 o'clock because of rain earlier in the day. Former Gamecock tight end Nick Muse is now a Minnesota Viking, or re-signs with the Minnesota Vikings. He was a Viking, still with the Vikings. The Panthers are expected to trade or release veteran corner Dante Jackson. How you feel about that?
Sometimes the best ability is availability, and he has not been overly available. Hate to say it. Great player, tremendous asset to the team, but if you can't be on the field, almost makes you wish they had traded him when he had a bit higher value and could have gotten something back for him instead of just releasing him.
Okay. Hey, we'll have post-game of the Clemson game on our website tonight and post-game of USC baseball. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We'll be back tomorrow night. Thank you, Pat. And have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow right here on Sports Talk.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Early results are beginning to come in as Super Tuesday polls close in the eastern United States. Joe Biden has won the Democratic presidential primary in North Carolina to get the evening underway, as well as Virginia, Vermont, and Iowa. Donald Trump has won the Republican presidential primary in the state of Virginia. Now, President Biden and Donald